Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see people on live today as well. And today we're going to be talking to Suzanne Campi about corporate to courage, redefining retirement and crafting your executive encore. So welcome to Executive Encore. This is a video podcast where we blend motivation, personal stories, and practical tips from my guests to help you prepare for a fulfilling life in what I call the executive encore phase of life. I'm Patricia Muir, and today we're going to explore some outdated perceptions of this phase of life with Suzanne. And this is being known as retirement. So there's a lot of reframing of what retirement is, and it's always good to get other people's perspectives on what they see is the next chapter in our lives. So we're going to explore the new perception that women in particular are embracing this as they craft a new chapter that I now call the executive encore. Why do I call it that? It's a good reason. As my guest today says, surprise, retirement is here, and you're just not as old as you thought you would be. You're still vibrant, full of life, and up to so much. So we're going to see what Suzanne's up to. I'm pleased to introduce Suzanne Campi, an experiential coach with a passion for helping people embrace the next chapter of life with purpose and creativity. Suzanne is dedicated to guiding individuals through this exciting transition, not to an end, but as a chance to rediscover joy, growth, and adventure. Suzanne inspires her clients to design a fulfilling, meaningful future that reflects their best selves. Welcome, Suzanne. How are you today?
Thank you, Patricia Muir. I am fabulous. Thank you.
Good. And nice and sunny. It's always nice to have a sunny background, isn't it? So,
It is so
and,
sunny, isn't it?
and beautiful vegetation behind you as well. That's really nice.
Thank you.
So, as I mentioned, retirement used to be seen as the end of someone's career. And it seems to be like just the last couple of generations have embraced retirement because we've lived longer, right? How has the concept of traditional retirement over the years, especially for women, how has it changed in what you have seen?
I think overall, Patricia, it's changed pretty much with the boomers and maybe a little more so with the younger boomers, which
Mm-hmm,
I am one of the younger ones.
mm-hmm.
I like to say we're pretty shocked when we get up to retirement age and really that we're really realize that we're just not that old. We're
No,
not as old as we thought a 60-year-old was back in the day,
that's
right?
right. Yeah.
So I know I'm healthy and vibrant and lucky as heck and grateful as heck for that. And I find that my peers are as well. And we would sit at a dinner table and everybody would say, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to retire. What am I going to do?"
Yeah.
And what the interesting part is, I noticed my parents' generation, who were the greatest generation, they were really thrilled to not do anything anymore. They had been doing, even fighting war for us for years. So they were
Mm-hmm,
ready to just kind of hang out. Nobody made a plan B. And
mm-hmm.
now it's just a reboot, it's a redesign, it's a rebuild, a rediscover. We might have a whole lifetime left. We might have another 30 years, right?
Yeah.
40 years. So let's plan for it. Let's play with it and let's see who we're going to be in this next phase.
Yeah. And when you think about it, if it is 30 years, and we can look forward to that, that's the longest phase of our life because we went through primary school, through high school, so our education, right? And then our work life. Well, this part of our life could be longer than our work life, like our
Good.
formal work life as well. So that's when I speak to people about planning because they think it's
Hmm.
all about, just planning the financial part. I think, well, what are you going to do with those
Right,
30
right,
years, right? And
right.
so,
And I like to pose the question, who are you going to be?
and yeah.
Because you had to be somebody different to get through up until this phase, right?
Mhm.
You were a student, and some people were a student over and over again. Some people, and then you were a worker bee or an employee or maybe an employer. However that role was is not the role you're heading into now. You were really taking care of a family perhaps, or maybe a house full of pets, maybe um, whatever you were doing, and you were building a career at the same time, and you were just go, 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 do, check off the list, check off the list. This next phase is under your terms. And
Mhm.
and granted, we do have the situation. I know you took good care of your dad, and we have elder parents perhaps, or even maybe returning children. But for the most part, we can say we can redefine, we can be different. And maybe
Mhm.
now, and with a sick parent or an elder parent or a partner that needs our attention, we can be more fully present.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because we have lived through experiences that have sort of built what we call resistance, but it's not resilience, but it's not necessarily
Mhm.
resilience. It's all that wisdom that's come to us now that we don't need to be just doing, doing, doing. We can
Right.
take a breath, take a look at the situation, and then, we have more, I guess you'd say more in our toolbox, right?
Right.
Um,
Absolutely. You really spoke to that in your blog post on self-actualization. I love that post. And
mhm.
I would love everybody look at Patricia's blog post on self-actualization, because I think when people talk self-actualization, or when they hear the term, they think, oh, woo-woo, airy fairy, right brain woo-woo. What are these people talking about? All it simply is, and you defined it as Maslow did, you quoted him, the noble pursuit of being the best version of oneself.
Mhm.
How is that woo? It's
Yeah, how is
simply,
that?
that's just simply being the best version of yourself. And if you were to ask yourself, huh, what would I do moving forward to be the best version of myself?
Yeah, yeah,
That's a fun thing to ruminate on, and
yeah.
to connoiter, and to design, and to create. I love the words design and create, because you have a whole new life to design and create.
Mhm.
And what if you did it with that question in mind?
Yeah, that's very important. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's exciting. It's
Yeah,
exciting. You don't have to be beholden to that corporate image anymore. You can,
yeah,
don your tie-dye and ripped jeans if you want.
yeah. Even that has changed, right? Like, it's not the way it was 5 or 6 years ago, like that corporate life, although, it
Mhm.
might feel for some people that they're still, in that corporate life, and they're still living and working in that, perception of what they're supposed to be doing, but I
Right.
know many of them that are looking forward to a package, but then when the package comes, they haven't really looked at what they're going to be or who they're going to be, to your
Right.
point. What do you think is the most challenging psychological aspect of this particular transition, especially the piece about perhaps their identity in corporate life
Mhm.
and their
Mhm.
work?
That is the most challenging thing. It's identity and its purpose. Now you've been blazing a trail for 40 years, and you've been able to say, I am a lawyer, or I am an SVP in Google. Whatever you've been able to say, it's kind of brought you a little bit of gravitas, right? A little, that sounds good.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
now who are you without that business card?
Yeah.
This is the kind of cool thing to explore, but it's also a bit of a panic moment. I know I had a dear client that said, I'm not important anymore. I used to be important. I used to, like, right down to, I used to have somebody even made my plane reservations. Now I have to do it. There's an identity shift.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you had somebody on, and I don't know if it was I think it was Marianne and but I think it was her business partner. Somebody spoke on grief.
Hmm.
And she spoke, I love the way she framed it, because grief comes in all sorts of packages, and there's things like you grieve about that are even good changes in life, right? And
Hmm.
retirement is one of them. It's not that you're grieving per se, and I think that's a big word, and it scares people away, and it keeps them
Yeah.
from taking a look at what it really is at face value. But grief, you may have to grieve that whole career. And I
Right.
say celebrate it, um, thank yourself for it, but honor it, because any kind of new beginning started with an ending. So your ending was the end of that career.
Hmm.
And, there is an end of an identity. You might need to create some new purpose and values. Another thing people miss out on a lot is connoitering with the younger people. They
Oh,
had all generations at work, and now it's just their old friends. So, how are you going to create that in your life if that was valuable to you? I know my friend's husband became a lifeguard at the local pool, and he hangs out with the kids and mentors them. And
good for
it's just
them.
beautiful. So there are ways to do this,
Yeah.
But back to honoring the ending, it's a beautiful time to really sit back. I love when my recent retirees will go inward and do that self-actualization and sit back and say, wow, I was kind of badass. I
Hmm.
just I pulled this off. I made it till I was 9 months and 1 week pregnant at work. I raised kids. I went to their events, missed a lot of their events. I got married. I got divorced. The things that went on in that 35 or 40 years of a career were tremendous, and you pulled it off. Women are amazing, and I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
you're out there lifting them up because they're also pretty self-deprecating. They tend to not honor themselves for their greatness. So we need to be in a group like this and like what you put out into the world to remind ourselves how freaking great we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. That is, my mission, because we don't want to, even when we talk about ending something, or that's when the grief comes in, the loss of your identity. And I loved what you said about a shift in identity. So
Mhm.
that is a reframing that I think is, I'm going to make note of that, because I think that's really important. It's the
Mhm.
same as not internalizing this ageism. We hear these
Right.
messages.
Oh my
We
goodness.
hear these messages about loss and things like that
Mhm.
in all areas of our lives. But if we think about loss of career or loss of identity, it's going to be internalized for us. So I think
Mhm.
what you said is so important, that it's a shift in identity. So,
Mhm.
and as you said earlier, who am I going to be now? I can
Right.
choose that identity, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And sometimes if you are a hyped up, high powered, say, head of sales or marketing, you get to pull it down a few octaves. And that can't be done overnight.
Mm.
So really reaching out for that support, reaching out for the coach, reaching out and stay in your community, Patricia's community. Do whatever you can. Go find your spirituality again. Go inward to try to I think even people's nervous systems are whacked out by the time they retire. They're
Mm.
still, somewhat and
Mhm.
calming that down so they can get to what's there. Because it's
Yeah.
really hard to go inside when you're still on overdrive. And
Yeah.
it takes a
Yeah.
while. It takes a while.
And finding the space in those moments to be able to
Hmm.
reflect and think about things, rather than always go, go, go.
Right.
And that's why, no matter how our life has turned out, we can still find those spaces for ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes a little hectic, like you referred to,
Hmm.
caring for parents and things like that. But I think we come with more wisdom to realize we need to take that space. Like, we need to take that
Hmm.
walk on the beach, even though the wind's whipping on the northern beaches here. We need to do
Yes.
that, and on our own.
Yes.
Just, my father-in-law always wants to come with me on these walks, and we do sometimes, okay, when I want a real slow pace walk. But if I want one where I can really clear my brain, no, I say
Mm.
thank you very much, but I'm on my way. I'm getting out there.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a mountain like that behind my house where
Oh,
as
that's
soon as I
wonderful.
need a clearing, I hop on my mountain and I can bring my dog because she won't talk. So, but being alone, that is where, and I think I'm pretty much technically an extrovert, but I have to have those alone times to reboot.
Yeah,
That's where
yeah,
the clarity happens. And yes, I do think that's something we realize the older we get.
yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So I want to switch a little bit, because one of the important things that you talk about is that the fact that so many of us have focused solely on financial readiness for this new phase of life.
Hmm.
And women have done really well over this past generation of really taking control financially. The majority of
Hmm.
women have. They've become very uh, knowing, they become experts on what they can do to have. And I know some women I speak to, they're always watching the numbers, like, can I retire yet? Can I retire yet? But also, you emphasize the psychosocial factors, like the
Hmm.
purpose, the growth. Why are these elements just as important as the financial?
Oh my goodness, because they're such a huge part of us. We are not we're not one dimensional. We don't just need the money and then the happiness flows. And that's a big realization too. When you retire, okay, now I did the thing that they told me to do, which was save money literally for the last 50 years. Now, oh, wait, I forgot to nurture my friendships. So I literally have a wheel of retirement. Literally, I have a wheel of retirement on my website that people can do, and it kind of spits out a report. You can fill it out, and it names 8 other aspects of us, of our psychosocial life, that we might want to take a look at, and that we have attached to us. So we typically need some kind of purpose in life, or we stagnate and we're not happy. Studies show health and fitness. Without our health and fitness, we can't do all the other things. We can't go on that trip as well.
That's true.
Health and fitness is so important. I'm a formal personal trainer and gym owner, and that's one of my passions. And if people want any coaching on that, I'd love to dive deep, because I can make it fun. My goal is to make everything fun. Family and friends and relationships. Have we been nurturing them? Have we let friends, do you think back on a friend and think, dang, I'm so sorry I quit calling them back in my 30s. I was so crazy busy. I didn't have the time. That happens. How about reaching out and giving them a call? Bringing relationships back into your life. And that also goes along with finding new people. And I think we fear finding new people when we're older, because we think it's not possible to find people like us with our interests. They are all over. I've found new friends. I moved to a new area 3 years ago. I have found new people. And granted, you can meet 100 and come out with 1 or 2, but meeting that 100 was so worth it to come out with those 2 people that are precious to you. They're so important. They feed your soul. So really nurturing those. I talk about recreation and play. That kind of goes along with adventure and novelty, but recreation and play. Let's bring back play. What about some fun? What did you do when you're young that you love to do? Now, I know for a fact I can't play my tennis anymore because I can't move laterally because my knees are bone on bone, but I do. There's plenty to do. And I yoga, I lift weights, I hike my mountain. All of those my knee agrees with, but I just can't move laterally. So what I'm saying is, even if we have little situations happening with our body, we have workarounds, and we'll do the best to strengthen. Spirituality, we talked about a little bit earlier. It goes along with deepening your soul. In my mind, we are a walking heart and soul. And who are we in there? And is there any form of spirituality that works for us that we can deepen? Whether it be Christianity, Buddhism, self-realization, church, whatever it is, dive in. It's fun. And if it doesn't suit you, find another. Legacy, I talk about a lot. People have fun with this because it's not just giving financially. Legacy is, what indelible mark do you want to leave on human beings or on this planet? Do you want to leave the planet cleaner? I'm a garbage picker up or wherever I go. Do you want to leave a mark on young children in the inner city? Who do you want to know that when you're gone, that they were loved by you? What is that legacy? Maybe that's not important to you. Maybe you do want to leave chunks of money here and whatever it be clear and keep creating it, because now you get to create that. And that is a big purpose. What mark do you want to leave on this world?
That's a shift in the perception as well, because usually when we talk about legacy, we're talking about money again, right? And I know people that when I do workshops on this topic, I ask them at the beginning, like, what's most important for this transition? And they all say money, right? Money and travel. And then when we go through some of the things that you've been speaking about, such as, the play, like making new friends through play, even. It's a great way to meet new people. Even by joining something more like exploring spirituality, you meet more people. Yes. So for those who think legacy is only money, legacy is exactly, I think what you were trying to say, is how we leave our mark on the world. And it can be through our experiences with people that we meet. And so it doesn't have to be in a tidy little package of money, but for us to think about, like, what was the meaning of my life in this world, and how is that going to be perceived by, sometimes we have younger relatives that will remember us for certain things, and that's,
Mhm.
how do you want to be remembered? That I think
Right.
that's a little different than saying what's your legacy,
Exactly.
because that's threatening.
Exactly. And it's a little more exciting when you really think
It
about it.
is. It
And you
is.
think, geez, I want people to feel valued. I want their
Mhm.
life to be better because I touched it. So how are we going to
Exactly.
make that happen? Yeah.
Going back to friends, it's a good time for you to think about what kind of friend do you want to be at this in this phase of
Mm.
your life, right? That so you can
Mhm.
change that part of your identity. You can shift that part of your identity as well. Is
Right.
if I was to meet and make a best friend now, what would that look like? So to attract that, I need to be that same kind of best friend,
So
right?
true. So
Yeah.
true. And by this time in life, I mean, it's not that we didn't know how to be friends back in the day, but I can definitely be a better friend now. I'm
Mhm.
definitely more compassionate. And when we talk about wisdom in older people, I never really knew what that meant. You just thought that they learned more things. No, they learned from things. And
Oh.
they learned, we learn how to be better people through our experiences. That's
Mhm.
wisdom, more so than just a bunch of facts and figures and knowledge.
Yeah, it's more about nurturing a relationship rather than a transactional relationship, right?
Right.
When we're younger, they're transactional. But I always
Mhm.
use the analogy of going out and making new friends. Remember what it was like when you were let out for recess and you went out and you made all sorts of new friends, right? So
Yeah.
this is a time of life to let yourself out for recess, play new games, try something new,
Mm.
and meet friends that way.
Right, you will meet your people there. We
You
have meetups here in the US, and I've heard from Canadians you don't have what it's called a meetup, but I'm sure you have a similar thing where you can reach out on find people interested in hiking. There's hiking groups,
will.
there's quilting groups. There is literally every kind of meetup. And there's hiking for people over 50. So I started doing that when I moved here. I joined Modern Elder Academy, MEA, Chip Conley's group, and I'm
Oh,
in a Bay Area group here. And I actually ended up co leading that group. So I met
okay.
fabulous humans.
That's
They'll
great.
probably be friends for life, some of them. So
Mhm.
it can happen, and it can happen fast. And I feel that people fear it, like I said earlier, but the shocking part is you can build relationship and in a fairly quick order when you're sure of who you are. You know exactly who to give time to and
Mhm.
exactly who might not work with you or fit
That's right.
with you. So,
We know that much better now. Yes, we do.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is a good segue into this part of the Executive Encore show, and it's that I call Every Moment Matters. So, could you share with our audience a pivotal moment for you when you recognize that life and work would look a little different for you? And what does that look like for you? What are you up to?
Ah, well, I can tell you. I have gone back and forth between entrepreneurship and working in the corporate world as a tech recruiter. And in Silicon Valley, being a tech recruiter brought you good money. It was I like back to identity when somebody'd say, "What do you do?" Tech recruiter sounded legit. It's something you could say at a party, and you got a little bit of
Ooh.
whatever. Yeah, even though it bored the living heck out of me. So I would keep every time I would build last time I built my coaching career, I got a nice offer with a tech company to recruit and I went back at it again and then let my coaching kind of stay at the side. And then the last time, finally, they had a layoff, and finally, I was laid off because it took a few rounds. I'm like, when am I going to go? I have to go, or else I'm not going to build my coaching career again. So,
Mhm.
sure enough, I left. I got some offers since to go back into recruiting, and I'm I don't want to say fighting them off as if I've got a bunch of them. What I mean is, it's a little hard to say no to the money right in hand but I know for fact, especially when I have conversations like this with people like you, this is in the right place to be. And it hasn't monetized the way the tech recruiting has yet,
Mhm.
but it is. I'm so passionate about it. I'm so passionate about being the win, the Bette Midler song, being the wind under people's wings. I just love helping people find their greatness. And
Mhm.
in doing so, they're always teaching me. I'm no expert at anything, but I hold a space for people where they can realize their
That-
greatness.
yeah. Hmm.
So it's so fun. It's so fun to watch them light up, to watch them grow, to watch them not be afraid to take those steps forward. Because
Hmm.
so often in life, no matter who we are, no matter how big someone's career is, they still have fears. They're still afraid to step into certain aspects of this retirement wheel. And
Yeah.
I'm there for them.
It's totally new. And I
Mm-hmm.
speak to people about this is not a do-it-yourself project, right?
Oh, so
Because
good point.
yeah, there has been a study recently that says that more and more people, not because of access to money or whatever, but they realize that this is, if they're going to do it right, and this is a chance for them to do it right and be their best selves, rather than being told by someone else who you were supposed to be as a best self.
Right.
They say, why would you give up that opportunity by trying to do it yourself? You can't go to Home Depot to get the tools.
Yes.
You really,
Oh, that's such a good point.
yeah, you
That's
really
such a good
do need a
point.
coach for this.
Yeah,
And
and maybe that's a paradigm shift, right? Because they have
it
been
is,
used to trying to figure out everything on their own because you look more powerful at work if you
yeah,
figure it out on your
yeah.
own. Here,
It's a big pivotal step for a lot of people to realize that, because just remember, they've been focusing on the money part, and then, oh,
mhm,
now I have to do something with my life. Oh, well, I'll travel. And so coaches, as you know, will say, okay, what does that look like? So how do you prepare to be able to travel? And to your
mhm,
point, if you're not able to walk anymore, you're not going to be able to do the type of travel that a lot of people would love to do when they're not in the corporate world anymore, such as
exactly.
longer trips, further abroad, hiking, museums, and things like that. They're not going to be
Mhm.
able to do that if their health is not there. So it's not just all about the money. And that's what people say to me at the end of a workshop. They say, yep, it's not all about the money. So,
Yeah, there's so much more. They
yeah,
don't think
so much.
most people don't put thought to that.
Yeah, yeah.
They think, "Oh gosh, I'm gonna miss people and not sure what I'm gonna do, but I'm still gonna make a to-do list every day because that's what I'm used to doing."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I always say, "That's fine,
Good
but
start.
now you get to be a human being, so would instead of a human doing. So how
Yeah.
about listing the person you wanna be all day and clicking that one off?"
That's a good one. I think I've seen someone do that. Like, what kind of
Oh,
person
really?
do I want to be today? And I think that's a good
That's fun.
worksheet, really. Yeah. Rather than
Yeah.
a
I mean,
to-do.
what an interesting thing to focus on every day. That's a great thing to meditate
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it is great.
Mhm.
So for those people who are watching either live or when this video is posted, or if you're listening to the podcast, well, if you're listening to the podcast, you won't see the streamer at the bottom, but the information for you to contact Suzanne will be in the show notes. And please do contact Suzanne, because again, we're going to be talking about this more and more. This is not a do-it-yourself project. You will get better results, better outcomes with more ease and grace if you do have a coach along your side. So,
Mm, so true.
is there anything else, Suzanne, before I conclude for today?
You know what? This feels a little off topic, but it's a note I made to myself because when I listen to you in your podcasts and when I read your blog, it's always like preaching to the choir. I'm always saying, yes, yes. And one of them that I said that about yesterday was good enough. You're the only one besides me who I've heard say that, what do you mean good enough?
Good enough. Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Fabulous would be more like it. So
Yes.
keep in mind you're freaking fabulous
Yes.
and dump the good enough.
Yeah.
And just understand, stay with those people and those podcasters and those live streamers that will build you up. Stay away from the negativity. There's just no
Mhm.
reason to go there. Just no reason.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank your audience and my incredible audience for being with us today. If you were inspired today, please share this episode with someone who you think could use the empowering insights and the lifting up, as Suzanne says. Don't forget to connect with Suzanne through her website and her LinkedIn, and stay tuned for more impactful conversations. Please tag another female entrepreneur or a corporate senior executive who inspires you, and remind her that she deserves to be more than just good enough, and that she can have an exciting transition in her executive encore. This is not an end, but it's a chance to rediscover joy, growth, and adventure, as Suzanne has aptly described to us today. Please join me live or on replays as I share more. This is where your executive encore begins, where I share more conversations with women like Suzanne and other thought leaders. We explore the secrets to personal and professional fulfillment, and we dive into the joys of finding fulfillment as we live longer. Please visit my website at patriciamuir.com. Really easy, just my name.com. And thank you, Suzanne, for mentioning the weekly blog at patriciamuir.com/blog. And I also posted on LinkedIn. Please subscribe to my newsletter, because when you subscribe to my newsletter, you will get a feature blog with my guests actually featured. So Suzanne will be featured this Sunday in the newsletter, what we've talked about today. And it'll help you to go through some of those areas in work and life where we need someone to inspire us when we experience some unexpected detours. And what was it I said today? Some plot twists as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I think that's my new one. I like that plot twist.
I might borrow it.
Yeah, by all means, use it. So thank you again. Have a wonderful day. And for those people who were live, I did get back to your comments, but I do appreciate you coming on live. But you can always go on the replay as well. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.